नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्ता वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you to our weekly Bhagavad Gita recap session. And before that, I would like to wish you best wishes and all auspiciousness. Today is very famous Ram Navami. So I wish you good health and prosperity and a good life. And Lord Rama is none other than Krishna. So out of Krishna's various incarnations, Lord Rama and Lord Nrsimhadev are very prominent incarnations. So Lord Rama came here as Maryada Purushottam to set the principles. And his life is very well delineated in Itihasa like Ramayana, scripted by Valmiki Rishi. It is a very wonderful literature. This is representing the Karunya Rasa. All throughout in Ramayana, Ramayana is very sweet, very nectarian. Lord's inconceivable how in various situations when he is placed, what is the ultimate right things to do? Dharma, what is real dharma? How to live the life like when we are a son or husband or father, brother, all these roles, how we can lead the life properly with right principles that Rama has said himself in his incarnations. Thank you all very much. So let us begin our recap session. So until now we had discussed up to verse 20 in last class. Let us have a quick recap of the overview of chapter 1. How does it look like? Chapter 1 basically divided into 5 sections. The first section is Dhritarashtra's inquiry, that is verse number 1. Then second section, in response to Dhritarashtra's question, Sanjaya is explaining or answering Dhritarashtra. And he first explains about how Dhritarashtra is observing the army and how he compares both sides of the armies. And that is from 2 to 11. Here we saw Duryodhana's fear as well as his diplomacy. And in third section, various signs of victory of Pandava is being predicted. That is from verse number 12 to 19. And from 20 to 27, that is the fourth section. This section we'll discuss today. Arjuna started observing the armies. And in this section, the prominent theme is how Krishna as Bhakta Vatsala, that we will see. And thereafter, from 28 to 46, in the fifth section, Arjuna will delineate various reasons why he is not willing to fight. So out of that, one reason we'll discuss today, the compassion reason, that is from verse number 28 to 30. And thereafter, he will give the reason of no enjoyment, that is from 31 to 35. Then fear of sinful reaction, that is again 36 to 38. and thereafter 39 to 43, he will give the reason of destruction of family tradition. And this chapter contains 46 verse. This is how this chapter is divided. And in this chapter, mostly Dhritarashtra is speaking. That is the first verse he is initiating, and that is the only one verse he has spoken. And majority Arjuna and Sanjaya are speaking here, and we do not have any verse from Lord Krishna in chapter 1. He will start speaking in chapter 2. So he is very carefully listening to what Arjuna is saying. Mostly Dhritarashtra is speaking. That is the first one. Sorry for the trouble. So, as I described various sections, so let us have a quick look at a quick glimpse how the chapter is developing until verse number 20. Yeah. So this is first verse. Dhritarashtra's inquiries to Sanjaya. Dharmakhetre Kurukhetre Samaveta Ayutsava Mamaka Pandava Seva Kimakurbada Sanjaya. So here Dhritarashtra is inquiring from Sanjaya that, oh dear Sanjaya, my son and the son of Pandu, yes, have assembled here in a desire to fight, where in Kurukshetra, and which is not an ordinary place, it is a Dharma Khetra, it's a place of religiosity. What did they do? Although this seems a very redundant question, actually it's not. There are deeper meanings hidden in it. What is that deeper meaning? Because this Kurukshetra is a Dharma Khetra, so this gives rise to doubt in the Dhritarashtra's mind that, oh, my sons are not virtuous, so this might not influence my son, this might not favor my son. Okay, so he's doubtful about his son's victory. That's the reason he is asking this. And he is fearful. He is thinking that, oh, my son might compromise because of influence of the holy place. But at the same time, he is hopeful, oh, let it influence Pandava's mind, because they are by nature virtuous. So let this religious place influence Pandava and let them withdraw from the battle and go to forest. And this is it is clearly evident how Dhritarashtra is so desirous for the kingdom. Dhrita and Rashtra. Rashtra is kingdom, Dhrita. So he is firmly holding the kingdom. He has a strong desire, deep desire. And because of this, he is fully blinded. And we also saw his partial nature. He is addressing his sons as Mamakaha and sons of Pandu as Pandavaha. Although all of them belongs to Kuru dynasty, his partial nature is revealed. And in response to this, Sanjaya absolutely read the mind of Dhritarashtra. And then Sanjaya is telling to pacify the despondent king, oh, my dear Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan is not compromising. Duryodhan, in fact, is now approaching to Dronacharya. So that means war is going to begin. And immediately Duryodhan started pointing Dronacharya's mistake. So he is telling, Pasyatang Pandaputranam Acharyam Mahatim Chamam Yurang Drupadaputranam Tavasishyana Dhimata. It's your disciple only, Drishtadumna, to whom you have taught these military skills. He has now arranged this Pandava's army very expertly, you see. If you would not have taught, then Drishtadyumna would not have been here. And knowing that his only purpose is to kill you, but when he approached you to learn, being a liberal Brahmana, you have taught him. So, Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport, Brahmanas are very liberal. They are so liberal, and when it comes to the point of delivering knowledge, they do not restrict, they do not discriminate. And then Duryodhan is describing various warriors in Pandava's side. He started naming them. Yudhan, Virat, Dripada. He's comparing them as if they have same strengths like Bhima and Arjuna. Then Drishtaketu, Chakitan, Kasiraj, Purujit, Kuntibhoja, Saibhya, Yudhamanyu, Uttamanja, then son of Subhadra and Draupadi. They are all Maharatha. He's explaining them. They are valiant fighter, Maharatha. Maharatha is someone who can fight with, 60,000 warriors. Then Duryodhan is thinking, oh, I am describing so much and glorifying so much about the enemy's army. Am I fearful? Just to hide that, now he is adjusting the situation, going to describe his own warriors. Then he is describing his own warrior. Who did he name? Dronacharya, Bhishma, Karna, Kripacharya, Ashwasthama, Vikarna, Saumadatti, Jayadratha, Kritavarma, Salya, and others. Jayadratha, Kritavarma, and Salya he is not naming, but that is meant by Anyecha Vahava Sura Madartha Tekta Jivita. So Anye means the others. So he refers to, Acharya says that he refers to Jayadratha, Kritavarma, and Salya. He is starting with Bhavan Bhishmasya Karmasya. So he takes the name of Bhavan because Duryodhana is addressing Drona and he is taking the name of Drona first. Although nobody is comparable to Bhishma in terms of strength. But since Duryodhana is talking to Dronacharya, so he is glorifying him first. So he is very diplomat. And at the same time, he knows that Bhishma will not mind. Because after all, Dronacharya is a Brahman and Bhishma is a Kshatriya. So Brahman has to be worshipped. So in that way, Bhishma will not mind. He is very clever. He is very cunning. And Karna is not in the battlefield, but he, Karna is always there in the mind of Duryodhana. Because on the strength of Bhishma, Drona and Karna and Ashwasthama primarily, Duryodhana is fighting the war. And Kripacharya, Ashwasthama, then Vikarna. He is taking the name of Vikarna. Vikarna is nowhere comparable to this warrior. Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Kripa, and Ashwasthama. But why he is taking his name? Because to flatter him. Vikarna is only his brother who has opposed him during the vicious assembly when Dusasan is ordered to disrobe Draupadi. At that time, Vikarna objected. So Duryodhan here is doubtful. Oh, Vikarna might join the side of Pandava. In order to flatter him and make sure that he is returning him, he has taken his. Saumadatti, the son of Somadatta, Vishrava. So Duryodhan here is telling, Madarthete, Anyacha Vahavasura Madarthe Tekta Jivita, Nana Sastra Prahana Sarve Yuddha Visarada. They are all Yuddha Visarada. But they are assembled here. They Madarthe Tekta Jivita. So they are ready to let down their life for me. And in fact, this is true. They all are going to be smashed in some time. Then Duryodhan is comparing both the sides of that. He is telling, Apariyaptam tadasmakam balang bhismabhirakshitam Paryaptam Tudametesam Balam Bhima Virakshitam. Oh, Pandava's army, although lot many warriors are there, it is only 7 Akshayani. It is only protected by Bhima, which I myself is only sufficient to defeat him. So that side's army strength is limited. Whereas look at our side, 11 Akshayani. Bhishma Pitamaha himself is the commander, chief commander. Bhishma Virakshita. And Bhima is nowhere comparable. He is like a fig in front of Bhishma. So our side strength is aparyaptam, unlimited. So that's how he is boosting himself. And in response to that, so by this, when he is glorifying Bhishma, then Duryodhana is thinking, oh, other warriors might, mind, just to encourage them. And so they are telling, oh, you all are very important at your strategic places. You remain there and protect Bhishma. After all, Bhishma is an old man. He might be caught up in one side engaging with the warriors, and the warriors from opponent side might take this advantageous situation and break the phalanx from other sides. So, although Bhishma Pitama is a valiant warrior, but because of his old age, he might be not so efficient in engaging his ability. So, you all should protect him. In that way, he is adjusting and balancing the situation every time. And in response to that, in verse 12, Bhishma started blowing the conch shell to cheering up Duryodhana. And Bhishma's conch shell here is representing the worship of Lord Vishnu, because conch shell is representing Lord Vishnu, worship of Lord Vishnu. And thereafter, various other type of instruments are sounded: drums, bugles, trumpets, horns. They all are sounded, and this combined sound produced a tumultuous sound. And then in verse number 14 makes the entry our dear Madhava and Pandava Arjuna. Tataha swatir haire yukte mahati syandane sthito Madhava Pandavaschaiva divyau shankho pradatmatu. So that's how Krishna makes his grand entry in Bhagavad Gita. How Tataha swatir haire yukte, in the white horses, and then Mahati Syandane, that chariot is not an ordinary chariot. This is given by Agnidev to Arjuna. So sitting in this Mahati Syandane, a grand chariot, Pandavaha and Madhavaha, they both blew their conch shell, and that conch shell is not ordinary conch shell, that is Dibyo, transcendental. And thereafter, various other conchs are discussed. Ananta Vijayam Raja, Kunti Putra Yudhishthira, Nakula Sahadeva, Sugoswamani Puspaka. Krishna blew Panchajanya, Arjuna blew Devadatta, Bhima Poundra, Yudhishthira, Ananta Vijaya, Nakula Sugoswa, Sahadeva, Mani Puspaka. We also saw various names of Krishna and their meaning. And then in verse number 19, it is described that this tumultuous sound is so uproarious that it shattered the heart of Kauravas. None of such things are described when Kauravas were blowing their conch shells. Pandavas' hearts are not shattered because Pandavas are the devotee of Lord. They have no fear. They are very certain and confident that even though their army is 7 Akshayani only, but still they will win the battle. So because of their confidence on the Supreme Lord, their heart is not sad. And then in verse number 20, Arjuna is addressing Krishna or ordering Krishna, in fact, that that will happen in verse 21. So here in 20, now, conch shells are blown from both the sides. Floor is set. War is going to begin. So it is spoken here. Atha vyavasthitan društva dhartarashtra and kapidvaja prabhrute shastra sampade dhanurudyama pandava. Arjuna is ready to fight and is about to shoot his arrow. But at that point in time, some thought is coming to Arjuna's mind. And who is doing this trick? Krishna himself. Lord Krishna, in order to speak this Bhagavad Gita and in order to give this message to us, the mankind, he puts Arjuna in a state of bewilderment. And now Arjuna is reflecting. And at first, he is not shooting his arrow. And he is going to order Krishna. Let's see what he spoke. And here, this section, we can summarize that the signs of victory for Pandavas, what all we saw, what are the signs in this section, third section. First of all, Krishna's presence. Jayastu Panduputranam Esam Pakshe Janardana. In whose side Krishna is present, Supreme Lord is present, his victory is certain. And since Krishna is present, Goddess of Fortune also will be on his side, because Goddess and Fortune is always with Madhava. So then, when great fortunes will be in the side of the Pandavas, then their victory is certain. And this venue is Kurukshetra, the holy place, and holy place will favor the holy people, the virtuous people, and the virtuous are Pandavas, not Kauravas. And Hanumanji himself present in the Arjuna's flag. Like Hanuman helped Lord Rama in getting victory, similarly, Hanuman is also there in the side of Pandava. Hence, victory is certain. What Hanumanji used to do, when Bhima used to roar, Hanuman used to join the party, and then that sound, is almost unbearable for the enemies. So it used to indulge a lot of fear in their heart. And when confidence is broken, then it's easy to gain victory. Symbol of Vishnu, conch shells of conch shell is a symbol of Vishnu, and these conch shells are not ordinary. So it is mentioned that Krishna and Arjuna's conch shell are transcendental, whereas the Kauravas' conch shells are not transcendental. And this chariot is Mahati Sandhani. So it is a wonderful chariot given by Agnidev to Arjuna, which is capable of conquering in all directions. And also indirectly it is stating that while Pandava blew their conch shells, so Kauravas' hearts were shattered, and none such things happen when Kauravas blew their conch shells. So this is indirectly means that Kauravas are fearful, their confidence is broken, hence victory will be certain for the Pandavas. Let us see what happens in verse number 21. अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोर उभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेता निरीक्ष्येऽहं योद्धुकामान् अवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमित्य में. Arjuna is requesting Krishna, O Achyuta, Ratham Stapayame Achyuta. Can you please draw my chariot where? Senayor Uvayor Madhye, to the middle of both the army. So why Arjuna? You want to see both the army? Are you desiring to make a peaceful compromise? No, 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 no. No such plan I have. I just want to see Yavadeta Nirikyeham Yodhukaman Avasthitam. Whoever have come here in a desire to fight with me. Kairmaya Saha Yodhyabhyam Asmin Ranasamityam. Who all have assembled here in a desire to fight with me. Before I enter into this great battle, I wanted to just see them and I want to estimate their strength. And I want to see how much they were bent to fight with me. So he is very anxious to see and estimate the strength of enemy's side. Because Arjuna as such is not desiring to fight before also. Pandavas are virtuous in nature. You see, they didn't have any intention to fight as such. But it's as if they were put in a forceful situation because of Duryodhana's obstinacy. Because of Duryodhana's obstinacy, they are put in this situation. Otherwise, they have given the solution. Oh, if you give me 5 villages only, that will be enough for us to make our living. But Duryodhana is so obstinate that no, he is not ready to spare even 5 villages. Duryodhana's property will not be less if he will give just 5 villages. This will be very insignificant, like a sand in the whole desert. But Duryodhana has, why Duryodhana has not given? Because he is having a lot of hatred towards Pandava. He is very envious towards Pandava. And because of that, he is not willing to give anything to Pandava. And this message is took by Krishna. And like here, Krishna is serving Arjuna as chariot driver. And Krishna served Pandavas in many various capacity. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he do not hesitate to become chariot driver of Arjuna. He is Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. Infallible, in a sense, he never fails in showing affection towards his devotee. And he is always ready to render his service towards his devotee. Devotee is always eager to serve Supreme Lord. At the same time, Supreme Lord is also eager to serve his devotee. Ya yatha mam prapadante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. And not only that, Krishna served Pandavas in various capacities. In Bhagavatam, a wonderful verse comes, in Canto 1, chapter 16th verse. Saratya parsada sevana sakhya dautya virasanānugamana stavana pranaman snigdesu pandosu jagat pranatim cha vishnur bhaktim karoti nupati charanāravinde. While Sukadev Goswami was explaining to Parikshit Maharaj that, O Parikshit, Lord has served your grandfathers in various capacities. Sarathya, he served them as chariot driver. Parsada, he has accepted the presidency position in Rajaswi Yajna. Sevana Sakhya Dautya, he has served as friend. And Dautya, he has served them as messenger, carrying the message, peace message. Virasana Anugamana, not only that, Virasana, he used to act like a watchman. During the battle, the Pandavas were so tired in fighting the war, and while they were sleeping at night, Krishna used to guard them as a watchman. Because wild animals might come and kill them, might disturb their sleep. So you see how wonderful the Supreme Lord is. Virasana, and Krishna is also throughout serving Arjuna as chariot driver, and in the night he is not sleeping, he is guarding as a watchman. And who is he? Jagat Pranatim cha Vishnu. He himself is Lord Vishnu. Jagat Pranatim, whom the whole world is bowing down and worshipping. But see how he is serving his devotee in such menial roles. Why he does so? Snigdhesu. Because Pandavas are Snigdhesu. Snigdha means ghee. Ghee is very soft and malleable. Because Pandavas are very malleable towards the will of Lord. They are completely surrendered to the Lord. Because of this, Snigdhesu Pandusu, Lord is giving them service in many different ways. Hearing that, Parikshit Maharaj's love towards the Supreme Lord increased like anything. Bhaktim karote nupati charanara vinde. He is holding the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in his heart. So here the significance of the name Achyuta is described. So the relationship between the Lord and devotees is very sweet and very transcendental. Then in verse 23, Arjuna is telling, let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Yatsyamanan avekshayam ya etetra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddher yuddhe priyochikirsava. Who have come here to please the evil-minded Duryodhan. Duryodhan's mind is completely gone. Durbuddher, his intelligence is fallen. But who have come here in support with him, in order to please him, who have joined this party? Let me see them. So they might be also the birds of same feather. Arjuna wants to see them. Then in verse number 24, Sanjay is telling, Eva mukta hushikesha gura kesena bharata seneyor abhayar madhye ratham stapayamechita. What did Krishna do? Krishna started speaking lecture. No such things happened. Krishna obeyed the order of Arjuna. Lord Krishna draws the chariot in the middle of both the armies. So this is a wonderful quality of a leader. You see, leader will not impose his conception or decisions on the subordinates. No, rather he wants to, if he has some difference of opinion, he will craft a nice situation where the subordinates will realize their own mistakes, or he will give you opportunity to reflect and to participate with them and try to figure it out, in what field they are suffering, why they are not able to see this. In the similar way, who can be more, who can have great leadership skills than Krishna? Without speaking, although he knows past, present, and future, right? Without speaking any such advising lecture, he's just drawing the chariot. Why? Because he's Achyuta. He never fails to give his affection towards devotee. If devotee wants him to take the chariot to some place, he is ready. I'm always there to obey the order of my devotee. This speaks of Krishna as Bhakta Vatsala. Being a Supreme Lord, also, he is not at all worried about his position as Supreme Lord. Oh, what might the whole world think? Because Mahabharata is a great war, and all these valiant warriors from all over the Bharatavarsha and even other Varshas have come here and participated in this war. And what role I am taking here as a chariot driver? It's such an insignificant role. I am not to, he has taken a vow not to use any weapons. He's not concerned. Because why? Supreme Lord, why he should concern? Whatever he does, his wonderful qualities and supremacy will be always revealed. It's very evident. And while all discussions are going on in the purport, let's see, Srila Prabhupada is giving wonderful points here. Arjuna is addressed here as Gudakesa. Why? What is the meaning of Gudakesa? Gudaka means sleep or ignorance. Isha means controller. Who has overcome the sleep and ignorance, he is called Gudakesa. How is it possible for Arjuna? Arjuna, in his deep love towards Krishna, he is always remembering him, and in this state of absorption, it is very easy for him to conquer sleep and ignorance. My dear friend, when we will develop our love towards Supreme Lord, the same thing in, maybe in a lesser magnitude, we all will be able to experience. We all will be able to experience. Forget about this. In our material life also, when, everybody might have this experience, when someone is falling in love with other opposite sex, then his sleep is completely taken up. Why? Because in deep absorption. In a similar way, think of loving the Supreme Lord, but then this is not ordinary, this is in transcendental level. So how much, if such a petty material affection takes off our sleep, then to what extent it might happen when somebody is in deep love with Supreme Lord. So this is possible, Gudakesa. And another perspective is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Guda means sweetness, Ka means Brahma, Isa means Shiva. So that person who gives sweetness to Brahma and Shiva, he is Gudakesa. So how Arjuna is able to give sweetness to Brahma and Shiva? Because here Arjuna is ordering to Supreme Lord Krishna, oh, please take this chariot to middle of the army, and Krishna immediately, without spending a single moment, is taking the chariot. So seeing these pastimes, Brahma and Shiva are becoming overwhelmed. Oh, this is the life's perfection. You see how Krishna is so great. How is he Bhakta Vatsala? This gives sweetness to Brahma and Shiva. And not only that, Krishna's pastimes are very sweet even to the Lord Vishnu, who is incarnation of Lord Krishna, Purusha Avatar. So there comes very beautiful pastimes in Bhagavatam. Maybe this is, in the interest of time, I just keep it short. Now, once a Brahmana, there was a Brahmana lived in Dwarka, where, Dwarka is being ruled by Krishna, and sons of Brahmana one by one used to die. And when son dies before father, this is not natural. This is unnatural death. So Brahmana was reflecting, oh, I am so religious, virtuous. Why my sons are dying? So it might happen that if the ruler of the state is not virtuous, when ruler of the state is religious, then this misfortune can happen to the prajas, okay, to the ordinary people. So in that, in that frame of mind, he comes and accuses Krishna. And it is so happened that Arjuna was there at that time in Dwarka because he was spending some good time with Krishna, because Krishna is a good friend to him. And this could not be bear by Arjuna. And hearing this, immediately, without spending a second, he has refuted this argument. Oh, my dear Brahmana, please dare your language. My friend, Lord, he is not an ordinary person, he is the Supreme Lord himself. How come he does any, how come there will be any fault in his ruling? So then they both draw the chariot, and Arjuna started searching his son, Pandava's son, in various places. And he went to the upper lokas, he could not find, lower lokas, could not find. Then Arjuna took the chariot to the spiritual world, to Vaikuntha, and there he saw that, he went to first Yamaloka, and in Yamaloka he also could not find. Then Lord Yama told, no, I have not brought the Pandava's son. And then they went to Lord Vishnu at Vaikuntha, and there Arjuna find that Brahmana's son was there. So then Arjuna asked, oh my Lord Vishnu, why did you do such things? Because Lord Vishnu told, oh, I wanted to just take darshan of Lord Krishna. So this is so wonderful. Krishna's form, pastimes are so beautiful that even Lord Vishnu wanted to see Krishna. And Krishna here is addressed as Hrishikesha. So Hrishikesha means, Hrishika means senses, Isha means controller. He who is controlling everybody's mind and senses, he is Hrishikesha. So he very well knew what all is going on in Arjuna's mind. So these are some wonderful points discussed in Srila Prabhupada's purport. And then in verse 25, the Lord places the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. He immediately took and placed in front of Bhishma and Drona. Bhishma Drona pramukhataha sarvesancha mahikshitam uvacha partha pashyatan samavetan kurun iti. Why he is addressing him as Partha? Because Krishna is addressing him as Partha. The significance is, oh my dear Arjuna, you are the son of Pritha, my aunt Kunti. In that sense, you are relative to me, and I have taken the position of chariot driver for you. And here, you please don't be so cowardice. You don't be so cowardice. It is not expected out of you. It is not befitting you, because you are the son of my aunt Kunti. And then immediately he is telling that, behold, Bhishma Drona Pramukhataha, Sarvesang, all of them are there along with Bhishma and Drona. So he is speaking this in a friendly, joking way. Then in verse number 26, Tatra pasyat stitaran partha pitrun atha pitamahan acharyan matulan bratrun putran pautran sakingstata swasuran suhuduschaiva seneyor ubhayor api. From both the sides, Arjuna saw all their relatives. Arjuna could see 5 generations. Pitamaha, grandfather. Who are they? Bhishma and Somadatta. And fatherly figure, Pitran. Who are they? Bhurishrava. They are contemporary to the father figures. Acharyan. The teachers, Drona and Kripa. Matulan, maternal uncle, Salyan, Shakuni. Swasuran, fathers-in-law, Drupada. And the people of same generation, same age group, Bhatrun, brothers, Duryodhana, and 99 other sons, and also his brothers in his one side. Sakhings tatha, friends like Ashwasthama, Shruda, well-wishers like Kritavarma, and then Putran, means like their sons, 5 sons of Draupadi, Abhimanyu, and Lakshmana, the son of Duryodhana, and also Pautran, grandsons. For Lakshmana's son, Duryodhana's grandson is also there in the battle. You see, 5 generations of relative is seen. And how, means it's not an easy situation. When you see almost everybody, all the relatives are present. Why? Just to fight. And Arjuna could see the imminent death. None of them will survive. In just few days, the whole empire will be devoid of any warriors. And all of his relatives are going to be killed. And this puts Arjuna in a very awkward situation. His heart is filled with compassion. Is completely overwhelmed. And he is broken. He is completely broken. Tan samikshya kaunteya sarvan bandhun avasthitan kripaya parayavisto visidan idam apravid. Visidan. He is completely morose. Kripaya parayavisto. He is overwhelmed with compassion. Idam abravid. Thus he spoke. What he is speaking? Actually, kripa, what is the difference between daya and kripa? Daya is like mercy. That is in general. And kripa is compassion for specific people. Arjuna has mercy in general for the soldiers of both the armies. But he is developing, a special type of compassion towards his specific people, because when he's seeing that almost everyone, his well-wishers, friends, brothers, fatherly figures, and especially his dear grandfather Bhishma. Bhishma, because of Bhishma only, Arjuna or Pandavas have some recognition today. Because they were fatherless, living in forest. When Pandu died, helpless mother Kunti took the helpless child back to the palace. And there, Bhishma welcomed them very affectionately. And by seeing the virtuous nature of the Pandavas, his love increased towards Pandavas. And he literally pouring, he's literally pouring his heart, his blessings, his unconditional love towards all Pandavas. And Pandavas used to sit on the lap of Bhishma and playing on his beard and sometimes jumping over his shoulder, and all these wonderful past moments, Arjuna used to recollect, and tears are literally started flowing in his eye. How come I will be able to? How come I am going to fight with Bhishma? After all, whatever I am today, it is because of him only. And he personally hired a most famous at that time, the teacher, Dronacharya, and arranged to teach us great military skills. And Drona has special affection to Arjuna. Among all his students, he used to love Arjuna like anything, because Arjuna was a very skillful student. And the same thing he is also reflecting in his mind, how come all these military skills from whom I have learned, and now I am going to fight with him? They are worthy of worship. They are not even worthy for a verbal fight. How come I will be shooting arrows onto their chest? This is a very difficult situation. In fact, indeed, this is a difficult situation. And then Arjuna is overwhelmed. And then we are entering into the next session, the last session, last section. So where Arjuna will give various reasons why he is not willing to fight. So today we will be only discussing this compassion argument we just discussed, and what all symptoms have seen in Arjuna's case. Let's just discuss quickly and we will end the session. Dushyam Arjuna Vaja, Dushyamang Swajanam Krishna Yutsum Samupastitam Sidanti Mamagatrani Mukhancha Parishushyati. Sidanti Mamagatrani, my different bodily limbs are quivering. They are weakening, they are softening. Not only that, Mukhancha Parishushyati, my mouth is also drying up. And Bepatuscha Sarire me Roma Harsascha Jayate, my entire body is Bepatuscha Sarire is trembling. Roma Harsascha Jayate, the hairs are standing on its end. Gandivam Sansate Hastat, I am not able to hold even my Gandiva. It is automatically slipping from my hand. Twat Chaiva Paridayate, because my heart is burning. And that's why my skins are also burning. So this is because of his extreme attachment towards his relative. Such things are happening in Arjuna's case. Srila Prabhupada is telling that this kind of bodily symptoms can happen in two ways. One, in great spiritual ecstasy. One, when someone is in great spiritual ecstasy, such symptoms also are manifested. Ashta Sattvika Vikara. But here in Arjuna's case, these vikaras, these transformations are because of his material conception of life, because of his great attachment towards his relatives. So seeing their imminent death, fear is arising in his heart because of loss of life, not because of defeat or because of his own death, no, because of death of other person. So by seeing in this, he is extremely fearful, and because of that, these symptoms are arising. His limbs are quivering, mouth is drying up, whole body is trembling, hairs are standing on the end, Gandiva is slipping from his hand, skins are burning, unable to stand. Nacho sakmami avastatum bhramati vachame manaha nimitani cha pasyami viparitani kesav. He is not able to stand, and his mind is reeling. Bhramati vachame manaha. He is forgetting himself due to the weakness of his heart. And nimitani cha pasyami viparitani kesava. Oh dear Kesava, nimitani cha pasyami viparitani. I see only the causes of misfortune. I do not see any good in this situation. Thank you all very much for your patientful hearing. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai. We have discussed until verse number 30, and next week we will discuss from 31 verse onwards. Hare Krishna.